My name is Caroline, and after 25 years of marriage, I learned something important. Sometimes silence is more powerful than shouting, especially when you know something they don't. My husband, Mark, and I were married for 25 years. 25 years. That's not a relationship. That's a lifetime. We built a house together, raised 2 children, survived layoffs, medical scares, sleepless nights, and cross-country moves. I supported him when he started at the bottom of his company, when he worked weekends, when he missed birthdays, when he said, "This promotion will change everything." And in many ways, it did. Mark climbed the corporate ladder at Holbrook Industries for over 2 decades. From junior analyst to senior director, he wore tailored suits now, drove a company car, started talking about brand image and network value. Somewhere along the way, he stopped talking about us. The anniversary party was his idea. 25 years deserves something big, he said. So he booked a ballroom at a downtown hotel, invited coworkers, extended family, even his CEO. He wanted it to look impressive, polished, successful. I thought it was sweet. I bought a navy blue dress, had my hair done, even practiced a small speech about marriage and gratitude. I had no idea I was walking into an exit interview. The ballroom sparkled. Crystal chandeliers, soft piano music, people clinking glasses. Mark was in his element, laughing loudly, shaking hands, introducing me as Caroline, my wife of 25 years. It sounded proud, but his hand never lingered on mine. His smile never reached his eyes. I felt something was off, but I ignored it. Because when you've been married that long, you convince yourself that discomfort is temporary. After dinner, Mark took the microphone. The room quieted. He smiled. "Thank you all for coming tonight," he began. He told stories about our early years. How broke we were. How young we were. People laughed. I smiled. Then his tone changed. He cleared his throat. And after 25 years, he paused. "I think it's time to be honest." My stomach tightened. "I've grown." The room stayed silent. And sometimes growth means realizing you're not where you're meant to be. My heart started pounding. He looked directly at me. "Including in marriage." Gasps filled the room. I didn't breathe. "I've decided to move forward," he continued calmly. "I want a divorce. Right there. Under the chandeliers. In front of our children. In front of his coworkers. In front of his CEO. He didn't yell. He didn't insult me. He simply discarded me. Like I was part of the decor he no longer needed. I felt the humiliation like heat under my skin. 25 years. Reduced to a public announcement. I could have screamed, thrown a drink, slapped him. But I didn't. I stood still. Hands folded. Face calm. Because while Mark was busy rewriting our story, I knew something he didn't. You see, 3 years earlier, when Mark was almost fired during a company restructuring, he panicked. He came home pale, shaking. "They're cutting half the department," he told me. "Senior positions too." That night, he admitted something I'd suspected for years. He wasn't as indispensable as he pretended to be. So I made a call. To an old college friend, Daniel Reeves. Daniel had become CEO of Holbrook Industries 5 years earlier. Mark didn't know Daniel and I were still in touch. He assumed my world revolved only around him. But Daniel and I had remained friends quietly. Nothing inappropriate. Just mutual respect. When I called Daniel that night, I didn't beg. I simply explained Mark's contributions. His loyalty. His work ethic. Daniel listened. 2 weeks later, Mark kept his job. And 6 months after that, he got promoted. Mark called it timing, luck, his own brilliance. I called it marriage. I never told him what I did. I didn't need credit. I just wanted him secure. Back in the ballroom, Mark lowered the microphone. The room buzzed with whispers. He stepped away from me, as if he had already separated. Then someone else stood up. Daniel, the CEO. Tall, calm, commanding presence. He walked slowly toward the stage, took the microphone from Mark, and said something none of us expected. "Before anyone leaves," Daniel said evenly, "I'd like to say something." Mark forced a smile. "Of course, sir." Daniel looked at him, then looked at me. "Caroline." My name echoed through the room. I felt every head turn toward me. Daniel continued. "Would you join me up here?" Mark's expression shifted. Confusion first, then irritation. I walked up to the stage slowly. Not dramatic, not rushed. Just steady. Daniel faced the crowd. "I've worked with Mark for over 20 years, he began. "And I've seen a lot of ambition." Mark straightened proudly. But Daniel wasn't looking at him. "I've also seen loyalty," Daniel continued. "And tonight, I think we should recognize someone whose loyalty never made it into company reports." The room was silent. Daniel turned slightly toward me. 3 years ago, during restructuring, someone advocated for Mark when his position was under review. Mark's face drained of color. Daniel spoke clearly. That someone was Caroline. Murmurs spread across the ballroom. Daniel continued. "She didn't ask for recognition. She didn't ask for anything in return." He looked directly at Mark. "She simply asked me to reconsider a man she believed in." Mark stared at me. I held his gaze calmly. Daniel wasn't finished. "And while we're discussing growth," Daniel added, "it's important to note that success is rarely achieved alone." The tension in the room shifted. It wasn't about divorce anymore. It was about truth. Daniel stepped closer to Mark. "Loyalty is valuable in business," he said. "But integrity is priceless." Then he looked at me again. "Caroline, thank you for your honesty and support during a critical time for this company." He paused. "And if you ever decide to re-enter the workforce, my door is open." The room erupted into applause. Not polite applause. Real applause. Because people love seeing arrogance deflate. Mark stood there, microphone-less, spotlight no longer his. His public exit had turned into his public exposure. He wanted to look powerful. Instead, he looked small. I didn't gloat. I didn't smile smugly. I simply leaned toward the microphone and said, "I believed in my husband. That's what marriage meant to me." Then I stepped down. That was all. No drama. No screaming. Just truth. After the event, Mark cornered me in the hallway. "You went behind my back?" he hissed. I looked at him calmly. "I supported you." He shook his head. "You embarrassed me." I tilted my head slightly. "No," I said quietly. "You did that yourself." For the first time in 25 years, he had nothing to say. The divorce happened quickly. He moved into a condo downtown. Rumor had it he'd been seeing someone from marketing. Younger. Ambitious. Impressed by titles. But at Hallbrook Industries? Things shifted. Mark didn't lose his job. Daniel isn't that kind of leader. But he didn't get the next promotion either. Because trust matters. And public humiliation says more about character than confidence ever will. As for me, I didn't crumble. I didn't hide. I went back to school. Finished the business certification I'd paused when our kids were young. 6 months later, Daniel offered me a consulting role. Not because of revenge. Because of competence. Because sometimes the quiet partner in the background is the one who understands the system best. The night my husband dumped me at our 25th anniversary, he thought he was stepping into a better life. Instead, he revealed exactly who he was. And when the CEO called my name, I didn't need to defend myself. I didn't need to fight. The truth did it for me. Because sometimes staying quiet isn't weakness. It's strategy. And the people who underestimate you in public forget that audiences remember everything.